Joining me now is a Democrat who has been front and center on the issue of immigration reform, among others, Illinois Congressman Luis Gutierrez. What a pleasure to see you, sir.
Good to be with you once again, Jose.
Thank you. You have continuously asked the president to go big, expand protections. Does this suggested plan that the president is considering go big enough?
I think we're going to know a lot more. Every day we know a little bit more, Jose. Next week, I fully expect that I and members of the Democratic caucus will be meeting with the president so that we can get a better picture and understanding of the depth and the specificity that is which groups. But I think that every report that we've seen in the media are good reports. It's about millions and millions of people. Look, Jose, there's going to be people left out. You cannot do through executive action what you can do through the legislative process. But I think what is key to this debate is that the president has the legal authority to do it, and he will use that legal authority. And Jose, is this a surprise to anybody? It's not a surprise to you or me. The president said at the State of the Union address, if you do not act, I will use my pen and pencil. He said on June 30th of this year, I'm going to act by the end of the year. And what I find kind of ironic in all of this is that Speaker Boehner says, no, he better not do anything, but he's not doing anything. All the speaker has to do is call a vote. And I will tell you something. There are 40, 50, 60 wonderful members of the Republican caucus which will join Democrats to do the work for the American people. But they don't want to do that.
But Congressman, take me through this, because you were part of a bipartisan group of initially 8, then 6, then 2 or 1 or however many that didn't get it done in the House. I mean, you guys had legislation written. You guys had dotted the I's and crossed the T's. You would work 24 hours a day, many days, to get this done, and then it wasn't done. So what is it that the House is saying that they want to do now that the president shouldn't take executive action on?
The problem is they won't give us a vote on all of the wonderful work. Look, Jose, you know something? I don't want to mention the name of my Republican colleagues that I work. You know who they are because you're a good reporter. You've done your background work. There are dozens of them. We worked very closely, but in the end, they wouldn't give us a vote. Remember that the President of the United States on June 30th says, I'm going to take action on immigration reform after he received a phone call from Speaker Boehner saying it's off the table. So come on, if it's off the table, if you keep saying this is what you want to do. So, and I just want to make clear that one of the things we cleared up in our discussions, Jose, with Republicans, when I talked to Republicans, and they said, hey, Luis, they all can't become citizens. And I said, okay. He said, we have to do it in pieces and bits. I said, let's start the process. They said it can't be the Senate bill. I said, okay. Jose, we said, okay. So my good Republican friends that worked, one of them told me yesterday, what a shame, Luis. We were so close. We were so close. So all that was necessary was to give us an hour to vote on it.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Congressman, because you and I have talked about this, and you know, the 9 times I've interviewed the president, probably 8 of them I've asked him this question. Why don't you consider, among other things, deferred action for parents of U.S.-born kids? And over again, he told me what he's told you. Listen, I'm not king, I'm president. I don't have the legal authority to do that. Right. Now he does have the legal authority to do that?
Here's what we've learned in this process, that much of this process is what is the legal authority of the President of the United States today? It is very broad. I think Barack Obama has learned how broad it is. But let me just say this. Jay Johnson, Secretary of Homeland Security, he is the one that was charged with drafting all of the rules and regulations at the Department of Defense to overturn Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He knows what the legal authority of the president is. He's used it in the past. Let's look at this last year. The president raised the minimum wage for federal workers. He intervened to make sure that women and men in the federal workforce are earning the same salary. Presidents have used this authority time and time again. I'm going to give you one last example because you're going to remember this one. In 1986, we passed the Immigration Reform and Control Act. 3 million people got amnesty. amnesty. Because one thing about Ronald Reagan, you got to give him, he made the process simple. He said, come, join, sign up and become American citizens, and he granted amnesty to 3 million undocumented. Well, there were about 1.5 million people that Ronald Reagan and then George Bush protected, 1.5 million people from deportation, because they were left out of the legislation in '86 until we fixed it in '91. Look, Republican presidents have used this authority. Meese, under Attorney General Meese, under then President Bush, protected tens of thousands of Nicaraguans that fled Nicaragua. Most of them were living in Florida, and protected them until we could pass NACADA, which gave them permanency in the United States. So there's a long tradition of the president. My answer to you, quite honestly, between me and you and Jose and nobody else, I don't think the president wanted to take the action. I think he always understood he had the power.